Picture this: Westminster Abbey packed so tight you could barely breathe, the air heavy with centuries of tradition and the weight of one of the most powerful families on earth. This was supposed to be King Charles III's big day, his official moment in history. Cameras flashed, choirs sang, and every eye was meant to be fixed on him. But behind those rehearsed royal smiles and choreographed waves, another story was unfolding, one no outsider was supposed to see: a quiet, ruthless war right there in the heart of the monarchy. And at the very center of it, none other than Camilla. Yes, that Camilla, the woman who was once mocked, shamed, blamed for the collapse of Charles and Diana's marriage, the woman who endured decades of whispers, insults, and public scorn. Now, she wasn't just surviving, she was glowing. The crown sat on her head, but it wasn't just jewelry, it was vengeance, worn like perfume. This was her day too, her coronation as much as Charles's, and she wanted everyone to know she had arrived. Her children, Tom and Freddie, weren't tucked away in the background or politely positioned behind ancient aristocrats. Oh no, they were sitting front and center, proudly basking in the glow of royal power. It wasn't subtle, it wasn't even polite. It was deliberate, calculated, a move so brazen it made jaws tighten across the hall. And Kate Middleton, Princess of Wales, noticed immediately. Her eyes scanned the crowd, not with admiration, but with disbelief. Her own parents, the Middletons, the ones who had stood by her through everything, were shoved so far into the shadows they might as well have been invisible. Hidden behind a stone pillar, like unwanted guests at a wedding they had helped plan but weren't allowed to enjoy. To the cameras, Kate looked perfect. Radiant, her emerald gown shimmered under the lights, her smile calm, her posture graceful. But inside, she was burning, boiling. This wasn't just an oversight, it was an insult, a message. And sitting beside her, Prince William caught it too. He leaned in gently, whispered, "Are you okay?" But Kate didn't answer. She didn't need to. The fury blazing in her eyes said everything. This wasn't about seeding charts. It wasn't about courtesy. This was war. And Kate had just been marked as the target. Later that afternoon, after the grandeur of the coronation had ended and the crowds had gone home, Kate found herself pacing through Buckingham Palace. The emerald gown was gone, replaced by a simple sweater and trousers, but she carried something far heavier than fabric: her pride. Her heart raced, her fists clenched. She wasn't going to let this slide. She entered a private room, only to find Camilla already there. Relaxed, lounging with a cup of tea like she owned the place. The queen looked almost amused, as though she'd been expecting Kate all along. Kate didn't waste a second. She marched forward, eyes blazing. "Why were my parents pushed to the back? Why was your family paraded in the front while mine were treated like outsiders?" Camilla barely moved. She looked up, calm as a frozen lake, her smile sharp enough to cut. Her reply was soft but chilling. "Because I'm Queen Catherine. And my family belongs here now. Yours. They don't." It hit like a slap, a gut punch. But Kate didn't crumble. She held her ground, her voice steady despite the storm inside. "This crown doesn't belong to just you, and you will not rewrite the future." Camilla smirked, her eyes glinting with the kind of coldness only years of survival can breed. "Be careful, Catherine. Fight the tide, and it will only pull you under." And just like that, the line was drawn. Not with swords or declarations, but with words dripping in venom. This was the opening move in a battle of queens, one for legacy, the other for survival. Weeks passed, and the tension only grew heavier. Inside Sandringham's grand dining hall, chandeliers sparkled above perfectly polished tables, and staged laughter filled the room. But beneath the glitter, silence weighed like lead. At one end of the table sat Camilla, elegant and untouchable, sipping her wine as though nothing in the world could touch her. Across from her, Kate fought to hold herself together. Her practiced smile faltered. The exhaustion from weeks of relentless duties she hadn't even been consulted on, was eating her alive. Then came the headlines. "Is Kate too frail for the throne? Princess struggles under royal pressure." Tabloids chipped away at her image, one cruel headline at a time. And Kate knew exactly where the whispers began. Camilla didn't need to strike openly. She planted seeds in interviews, slyly musing, "Kate's such a sweet girl, but the pressure might be too much." Her team watered those seeds, and soon the narrative was everywhere. Kate's strength questioned, her role doubted. Meanwhile, Camilla's family rose higher in visibility, their faces plastered across society pages. No one called it out. Some didn't notice. Others noticed and stayed silent. And Kate, trapped in the middle, felt herself sinking. That night at dinner, dessert was served. Kate stood to raise a toast, her fingers trembling as they wrapped around the stem of her glass. The room watched, expecting charm, composure, grace. But as she tried to speak, her vision blurred. The lights sharpened, stabbing at her eyes. Her legs buckled beneath her. The glass slipped, shattering against marble in 1,000 shards. And Kate, Princess of Wales, collapsed in a heap of emerald silk and pale skin. Gasps echoed through the hall. Chairs scraped back. Panic surged. William leapt to her side in seconds, cradling her as if the world itself was falling apart. His voice cracked, desperate. "Kate! Kate! Look at me!" But she didn't respond. Her eyes stayed shut. Her breathing faint, fragile, terrifyingly weak. The hall erupted into chaos, except for one figure, Camilla. She didn't move, didn't rush to help. She simply watched, her wine glass perfectly steady, her face unreadable, cold, calculated, almost as if she'd seen exactly what she wanted. Kate was rushed out, doctors called in, the illusion of royal perfection shattering with that single collapse. Those words seared into him. William had always played the long game, duty before drama, tradition over confrontation. But this was different. Kate wasn't just under attack by whispers or seating snubs. She had collapsed, crumbled under pressures carefully engineered to break her. And William knew exactly who was behind it. From that night, William changed. No statements to the press, no polite smiles. He moved in silence like a soldier preparing for war. Files were gathered. Quiet testimonies were whispered by palace staff who had grown disillusioned with Camilla's growing grip on power. Emails, memos, schedules, all pointing to the same pattern. Camilla had been stacking Kate's calendar with endless charity visits, international trips, high-pressure events, duties designed to grind her down. And one document hit William hardest. Camilla had personally pushed for her grandson, Freddie, to be positioned front and center at an upcoming ceremony above George and Charlotte. This wasn't symbolic anymore. It wasn't petty rivalry. It was an attempt to edge Kate's children, the future of the monarchy, out of the spotlight. Every night, after the children were asleep, William and Kate sat by the fire, files spread out before them like battle plans. Kate read in silence, her grip on the papers tight. She didn't want revenge. She wanted stability, fairness, dignity. William promised her he would deliver it, even if it meant confronting the man who had placed the crown on Camilla's head. And so, one stormy evening, Clarence's house loomed under a darkened sky as William stepped out of the black car. The folder in his hand felt heavier than iron, not because of its weight, but because of the truth it carried. Inside, King Charles sat alone by the fire, a glass untouched in his hand. His posture, once so proud, seemed tired, beaten down by the very crown he had fought for. When William entered, their eyes locked. The tension was suffocating. "You've come with something," Charles said quietly, his voice low. William didn't flinch. "I've come with the truth." He set the folder down on the antique table between them. No ceremony, no pleasantries, just cold, hard evidence, emails, memos, testimonies, proof of how Camilla had manipulated her position, weaponized her crown, and undermined Kate at every turn. Proof that she wasn't acting like a queen, she was acting like a rival. Charles didn't reach for the folder. He just sat, staring into the flames, the lines on his face deepening with every word William spoke. When his son finished, the silence was heavy enough to choke on. Finally, Charles whispered, almost to himself, "I knew pieces of this, but I didn't want to believe it. She's my wife." William's reply came like steel. "And Kate is mine. You crowned Camilla, father. But she isn't protecting this family. She's tearing it apart." The words landed like a hammer. Charles shut his eyes, the weight of his crown pressing down harder than ever. For the first time, he looked not like a king, but like a man caught between loyalty and truth.